my name is Rabea. I'm a guitarist based in the UK, and I'm out here in Fort Wayne at Sweetwater to talk about my brand new Ernie Ball Music Man artist model Sabre guitar. So I guess the first place to start is how I got sort of involved in working with Ernie Ball Music Man. If we rewind a few years, I had my JP15 John Petrucci signature guitar, which was my first Music Man guitar, which I really loved. And I kind of got talking to a lovely man called Derek Brooks at Music Man. And we'd sort of just been talking and doing videos on my own YouTube channel with the guitars like the Sabre that came out, and just sort of playing guitar and making videos of stuff. Fast forwarding a couple of years from that, I was at the NAMM show and I was chatting with Tosin Abassi, who I'm sure everyone watching probably knows who that is. He was telling me that him and Brian Ball were out for dinner, and for some reason, unbeknownst to me, my name came up in conversation, and Brian sort of mentioned that he was sort of a fan of what I do and liked my music and my guitar playing in videos and stuff, which I found kind of crazy, really. And yeah, he and Tosin was like, you know, he's an awesome dude. You should go and have a chat and introduce yourself, which I did. And I got chatting with Tim and Robert from Music Man, and sort of just the relationship sort of developed from there, really, just talking and doing emails and stuff. And it became apparent that it would be cool to collaborate on a guitar together. And I got chatting on Instagram in the DMs with Brian about that being a cool opportunity. And Brian's such an awesome dude that we became friends and talking about all sorts of stuff outside of guitar, you know, like Nike Dunks and skating and stuff like that. And yeah, it just seemed like a really cool relationship was sort of developing from there, really, which is important to me, to have like the relationship right, you know, when it comes to doing stuff like making guitars and working with companies and stuff. It's definitely all about how you feel and work with those people as friends first and foremost. And some of my sort of most cherished relationships in what I do has come through being friends with people. So this was no exception, and something that was really nice to sort of allow to develop, really. That's where the conversation sort of started, and it became about which sort of Music Man guitar felt like it connected with me the most, and which was closest to the kind of aesthetic that I resonate with, and that would be the Sabre, because it's kind of a modern guitar, but it has a lot of tonal versatility, and aesthetically it's kind of the closest to the kind of thing I like as well. So that was how we sort of landed on the model to do an artist model to start with. And then it was more a case of how do I sort of adapt that to the kind of things that I like in terms of like wood choice, color, you know, pickup choice, pickup switching, hardware, all that kind of stuff. So that's where we landed on this, really. So I think that we started developing this in 2023. I know we were talking about it at the end of 2022. When I went out to the NAMM show, when it was in April, I actually went up to San Luis Obispo to Ernie Ball Music Man, to the factory, to sort of meet Brian in person, give him a hug, say thank you for being a legend, and meet the team. And at that point, Drew, the head engineer at Music Man, sort of surprised me with the first prototype Sabre, where he'd taken a stock Sabre and like done a custom neck carve by hand, and like done a custom finish on the guitar, and added my bare knuckle pickups to it, and sort of surprised me with that, you know, with a couple of modifications that we'd sort of spoke about over email, like this spoon cut, for example, and the specific carve on the neck that I was talking about. So it was kind of like a shock to sort of be handed the guitar there and then. But it was great in terms of like development, because it allowed way longer development time over the rest of that year, and, you know, trying to get it right. So that was really cool. Did the NAMM show, came home, had the guitar, and then managed to, you know, go out on a couple of tours with it, with my band, and get to road test it and kind of work out things that I really liked about it, things I wanted to change. The things that straight away off the top that I really liked was the neck carve that Drew had done by hand, and it's an interesting one because it's thicker down here at the nut and it's slightly thinner as you go up the fretboard. And as far as I understand it, that's kind of back to front. Usually it's a bit flatter down here and fattens up here. But that was something that he'd done, and I just wanted to replicate it because he'd got it right straight off the bat. And it's a thicker neck than a lot of the Music Man guitars. I think we'd gone for this 58 carved style neck, and it's just got a nice girth to it, which I've got big hands, and I like to play a lot of riffs. And for me, having that extra sort of girth down here for playing riffs, but it's a bit thinner up here, was great for that. So we stuck with that. And then little things like adding the spoon cut here, which is for me really useful because, again, having big hands, if I'm playing up on the top frets, it's sort of staying out of my way. The arm carve, which was something that I realized I needed whilst on tour, because the Sabre has like a straight edge all the way around. And something I'd noticed is, you know, playing, I like to kind of use up a lot of energy on stage, and doing that, I was kind of finding that my arm was digging into the edge quite a lot, you know. And then I guess like one of the biggest changes in terms of its sort of structure and something that seems not very big, but it took a lot of development, was the heel carve on the back, because the stock Sabre, it's level with the back of the guitar all the way up to the heel here. And what I found was that extra bit of wood there, if I was playing up on the top frets, was making it quite difficult for me to comfortably play lead up here. So I sort of said, how far back can we sort of shave this whole thing? How far back can we take this? And it took a couple of iterations to get it right. I mean, quite interestingly, the final version, because we'd got one done and it was kind of good, but I was like, can we get a bit more out of it? And I think Drew started to worry that the structural integrity of the guitar was going to be compromised, but I was like, please, can we just try? And he went away, used his genius to basically make it perfect. And saying that, I got to pick up this exact guitar at the NAMM show this year, with those final tweaks made to the heel, and it was bang on. It was just the right amount of wood taken away from the previous prototype that made it sort of perfect for me for the upper frets, and having that lower horn shaved back as well. So that was really cool. In terms of hardware, we had a new bridge designed, because the stock Sabre bridge is quite big. It's got like a chamfered piece of metal here, which I found when I get sweaty on stage, because, you know, if you move a lot on stage you sweat, and I've got a lot of hair, which also means that I get hot. My hand was slipping around quite a bit on the bridge, so I asked if we could take inspiration from the JP15 bridge, which I really, really like. So they remachined that bridge for this guitar. So this is technically a new bridge, but it's very much reminiscent of the JP15 bridge. And I just think the lower profile, the smaller area that it takes up, just for me, aesthetically works better. Then we've got the Charlotte locking tuners, which are the same, I believe, on a lot of the other Ernie Ball Music Man guitars, but they're fantastic. They just do the job they're meant to do and keep us in tune. And then we very mildly moved this pickup switch as well, because I found that in some of the songs where I'm dropping my pick on the floor, I have to roll off the volume quite quickly. And I found that my hand would knock into the pickup switch and swap it over to the neck, and I wouldn't know. And then I'd go into lead and be like, why does it sound so weird? And then look down and realize that I was on the neck pickup. So we changed that, and it's such a subtle thing, but it really does make a difference. And if anybody's a fan of, I'm sure you guys are, of John Petrucci, you know that he is very much like, that's his thing. It's like all about the ergonomics, the arc of the controls and all that kind of stuff with his arm. And it really makes a difference. And that's something that I think is quite a valuable thing to really think about when trying to design a guitar. So you've got a 5-way switch, which allows you to have, you know, bridge, and then you have a blend of the coils. You have both humbuckers, a blend of the coils again, and then neck. But then you've got volume and a tone, which has a push-push pot that allows you to split down the bridge and the neck independently, which is really nice. But what's cool is, if you've ever used a double humbucker guitar where you split the coils, it sort of makes positions 2, 3, and 4 sound the same usually, because these are always split. However, at Music Man, they have wizard kind of technology that goes in the guitar that allows you to split these pickups but not compromise position 2, 3, and 4. So you can kind of have them always split and get those tones, as well as using those 3 middle positions too. Then we got the ebony board, And then the inlays, which was one of the last things we changed, which I really like, the donut inlays, I'm a big fan. We put loom inlays on the side, and it's 22 fret. The last main thing about this guitar is that it has my signature bare knuckle silo humbuckers in there. You know, I've been using bare knuckle pickups since 2007, talking about, again, relationships and friends in this sort of job, if you want to call it that I have. Working with bare knuckles has been amazing, so having my own signature set, which we designed a few years ago, they were going to go in this guitar, and I'm a huge fan of them. And they sound amazing in this guitar, and being able to have all those different pickup options just makes the guitar super versatile. They were designed with split tones being quite important, so if you use it split, you don't have like a sterile, choked, kind of anemic, you know, split coil tone. They're actually really good in their split positions. And the black and gold is just looks good. And then I guess finally the color. So the color is called Vileblood, which references the best game in the world, which is Bloodborne. And I urge you all to play it because it's incredible. And it's a reference they use in that game. And I just thought that was cool. Vileblood, it kind of sounds heavy metal, or whatever. But yeah, it's essentially, you know, it's like a dark to sort of trans black burst with this red in and around it, which I just think it just looks awesome. Look, it doesn't look too metal, but it doesn't look like super soft, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like a nice middle ground. So yeah, I like the way it looks. It's really good. It's also worth probably talking about strings and tunings that I like to use. Predominantly my guitars are tuned to D standard drop C. At the minute I've got a set of 1156 Slinkies, which is like a custom gauge that I'm using at the minute from Ernie Ball, but I also use 10 to 52 Paradigm. And the good thing about those are obviously because they're super strong. As I said, I've got big hands. Sometimes I like to overbend and snap strings. You know, sometimes when strings go a bit black, when you've like sweated on them or played a couple of gigs and it's just horrible to play, they don't do that. And I like that. I think that's a good thing. In terms of woods for the guitar, we've got ebony on the fretboard. The body of the guitar is made from alder because it's, for me, one of my sort of favorite tone woods. We're using flamed maple for the top, and it's a nice thick top that, again, the reveal binding, you can see, it's like, it just looks sick. And then the neck is baked bird's eye maple, which is, again, one of the nicest kind of like figured woods that I've had over the years. It just looks really, really nice, and every piece is different, so it's kind of like unique to the guitar that you end up getting, which I think is cool. And yeah, baked maple, just kind of, and it's got this unfinished kind of feel on the back of the neck, which, again, I've not ever been a real big fan of like heavily lacquered necks, because I find my hand sticks, whereas this is unfinished almost, just like a very light oil finish to it, and it's super fast. So yeah, this is my artist model Sabre from Ernie Ball Music Man, and genuinely amazed to be in this position at this point. It's just so cool, and I'm so appreciative and grateful for Brian and all the guys at Ernie Ball Music Man for sort of, I guess, taking a chance and believing in me as an artist to want to work together. And as far as the guitar is concerned, it feels like I've got a guitar that can handle any application that I tend to be in, whether it's playing these gigs with these artists where there's flamethrowers on stage doing all sorts of crazy stuff at festivals, or writing and recording my own material, or playing in my band, or going on tour, or playing in Frog Leap. And so there's so many different applications that this guitar can handle because of all the sort of different tonal options, and it just kind of feels like a Swiss Army knife in that sense of a guitar, and having that thick neck, it's just super sturdy and it feels confident to use, and I can't wait to be touring this guitar this year and then, you know, for the foreseeable future as well. And I think if you get one of these guitars, you'll probably feel that confidence as well, in just that it can sound any kind of way you want it to, it's sturdy, it looks sick, and yeah, I really hope you enjoy playing them. It's also worth saying just how incredible it is to be part of the Ernie Ball Music Man family. In general, obviously their artist roster is insane, and being put alongside those incredible players is like a genuine honor and privilege. But it's also being sort of accepted into the family, because, you know, family is really important to everybody. It's very important to me, and it does feel kind of like being welcomed in with open arms by everyone there. It's cool because you feel looked after, whether it's, you know, using these amazing guitars, having the support, you know, with strings and everything that I need, or even like, you know, they make accessories of all kinds, you know, like even these cables. This lovely black and gold cable that wasn't very specifically picked to go with the pickups on my guitar. But you know what I'm saying, they kind of do everything. So it's kind of, it's reassuring as an artist, whether you're on tour or in the studio, that you've kind of got everything that you need. I'm sure you've heard enough of my voice and would like to hear how the guitar sounds. So I'll just quickly tell you what the rig is. I'm plugged into my Quad Cortex, which is then running into Victory Amp Super Kraken, and you know, everything sort of reverb and delays coming from QC. So I'll just go through the pickups really quick so you can hear how they sound. We'll start with the neck and work our way through to the bridge, and I'll show you the split positions too. Tuned to drop C, this is the sound of the neck pickup. And then I can split it down. Position 4 is a blend of the inner coils of both humbuckers, so you get this nice sort of chimey thing. So. And then position 3 is both humbuckers together, so it's kind of similar but thicker in that way. So. Position 2 is the outer coils. Similar kind of vibe to position 4, but obviously has its own sort of character as well. And then position 1, or the bridge pickup, which it's just a super girthy kind of lovely bridge pickup. And if you split it down, it's got a nice amount of sort of definition to it, but it's a usable sound. So that's the sound of the guitar. I figured it was easier to show you with a lower gain sort of sound overall. But as you can hear, there are loads of different positions to put the pickup switch in. Use the coil tap or split, whatever you call it these days. It's kind of just super versatile. Whatever you want to try and get out of it, it kind of does. So if you're curious, interested, or have any questions regarding this guitar, then contact your Sweetwater sales engineer, or for more info, go to sweetwater.com.